Welcome to the podcast show by Keyvan Davani, the Total Connector, Total Bitcoin, Austrian economics, the hardest and scarcest money ever created in human history, Bitcoin.
So that's my question. Is Facebook's Libra the Trojan horse, as it's been called lately, and the facilitator for Bitcoin's final global mass adoption? Welcome to the Total Connector Show. My name is Keyvan Davani. I'm going to go and review some articles, some comments, analysis by other people, some tweets and posts about this Facebook's Facebook's global coin Libra. I'm not even sure whether they've decided on the final name or brand. So let's take a look at it. Let me see. Can you hear me? Because I'm not sure. You can hear me. Beautiful. Okay. Let me go straight into the pages of Twitter or what have you. Where do you have that? There you go. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Let's go straight to the... oh, yeah. That's a beautiful article. Facebook's cryptocurrency is a nail in the coffin for blockchain at Bitcoin. You have heard it, over and over again by mainstream media, people who don't know what they're talking about when they're talking about Bitcoin, or all those corporate CEOs, the bankers, the politicians, even the academics. Is like, we're interested in in blockchain, the underlying technology of Bitcoin, but they don't know what they're talking about when they're talking about, the Bitcoin protocol, the Bitcoin blockchain. And actually Bitcoin is it's compromised of many diverse sets of technologies, whether it be cryptography, peer-to-peer, distributed ledger technology, network consensus, and what have you. So and the Bitcoin protocol, Bitcoin and the Bitcoin blockchain is actually a very, very primitive, slow, and inefficient technology. But we take it as granted. We accept it because it secures the network, because it is because that makes it what makes it immutable. That's what makes it so secure. That's what makes it so so set in stone. All right. So anyway, this article is by Eden Yago from June 18th, so from yesterday. And yesterday, as far as I know, the white paper of Facebook's Libra was released with a lot of analysis by a lot of people. Really good analysis, which we're going to go through all these comments and analysis step by step. So he's saying with the announcement of Libra, cryptocurrencies has entered the big leagues. Facebook's entry into this market means every single company now has to take cryptocurrencies seriously. That's for sure. That's good. At least, people become familiarized. Infrastructures are going to grow. I mean, just look at it. Facebook has like what? More than 2, maybe even 2.5, 2.7 billion users. Let's say maximum, because we're not sure, because there's been talk about how many bots or fake accounts are there on Facebook. So even if it just hypothetically were like 1 billion or 1.5 billion, I mean, who cares? That's like still, billions of users, who cares? So he's saying the article, the guy who wrote this article says, this is not a repeat of the corporate circle jerks of 2015 and 2017. Then companies played with the idea of having a blockchain strategy. Blockchain was a buzzword and still is, and companies indulged their innovation departments in building toys that never saw the light of day as actual products. This time could not be more different. Facebook has hammered the final nail in the coffin of blockchain, not Bitcoin, right? So now it should be like Bitcoin, not blockchain, right? This is what it should sound like. Facebook has taken blockchain seriously. They understand that the technology isn't cool. What's cool are the unprecedented products that technology can be used to create digital cash, new currencies, and programmatic money. Every business ever has sought to make money. Now, one of the biggest businesses in the world has decided to dispense with the middle steps and go straight to the making money part. Why? And then there's this quote, why the crypto pundits have been asking, do they need a blockchain for this? Libra, after all, will be permissioned. That means it will be not permissionless. It will be permissioned. I will go over that because they're, doing some kind of political campaign announcements that, it is permission now, but we could become permissionless in 5 years ahead, in the roadmap ahead of us. Which is, sounds totally ludicrous. And then it says they could have just used a database, which I totally agree with. So the answer is simple. It says even Facebook could not create this product without the albeit limited decentralization that blockchain affords. Facebook needs blockchain for the same reason any cryptocurrency needs blockchain. The only central actors that are allowed to issue money are regulated financial institutions. They need to be regulated anywhere that money is issued and used. That is hundreds of different jurisdictions with thousands of different regulations. This is also what Andreas Antonopoulos has been saying. Let me go straight right to that quote. There's Andreas Antonopoulos' tweet. He's using that quote, Libra does not compete with central banks. They're using a basket of currencies. Which is, really interesting because they're using a basket of fiat currencies, right? So they will constantly have to maneuver around when currencies are changing in their valuation, in their fluctuations and stuff like that. So, and then he says, Andreas Antonopoulos says, think about what happens in, say, India when they decide to apply monetary policy. That means to devalue. That's what's been happening in India, to all these poor people. They couldn't, bring back their money, their fiat, worth shit, worth trash. Once the money has been, and it has been happening, over and over again. The Indian government just devalued, their own money. And then it says, and people have access to hard Libra alternative. It undermines the power of monetary policy. So there's a lot of these quotes and tweets and posts which are really worth reading, but I'm not going to go through each one of them. Let me see. Here it says here, House Financial Services Committee Chair, Republican, whatever, Maxine Waters has asked Facebook to halt development of its Libra cryptocurrency until hearings can be held. Because it goes right to that article. Also, I've got all these pages open because it's really worth reading some of these quotes. This is article on zerohedge.com. Maxine Waters demands, she's a what is she, a senator or something like that, or Congress for sure, demands Facebook stop all development of Libra crypto project. Just hours after the announcement and release of a white paper of its new cryptocurrency called Libra, the U.S. government has decided it's time to intervene, likely for the good of us all. Republican Patrick McHenry, senior Republican on the House Financial Services Committee, wrote a letter Tuesday to committee chair Maxine Waters, a Democrat, demanding a hearing on the Facebook cryptocurrency initiative, according to Reuters. Then it says, the quote, unlike existing digital currencies, Facebook has a worldwide platform and scale that can impact global payments and the digital currency market. They know exactly what's going on, okay? But you see, this is a fusion of Facebook with now dozens, and now until 2020, until they start launching it, or the planning to launch in 2020. It's going to be a fusion, a total collaboration, cooperation of Facebook in the center, Libra, with all the corporations and companies, all the worldwide, globally super famous branded companies. Would it be PayPal? They're already in boat. All right. Uber, Horowitz company. I don't have them all in my head, but Microsoft. Think of any big brands out there. We know there are many, and then it says we know there are many open questions as to the scope and scale of the project and how it will conform to our global financial regulatory framework. It is incumbent upon us as a policymakers to understand Project Libra. We need to go beyond the rumors and speculations and provide a forum to assess this project and its potential unprecedented impact on the global financial system. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so listen, we're talking about the Congress, totally corrupt, totally corruptible. You can buy laws, you can buy with money, you can buy everything right over there. You can have change, you can have laws change, adapted, adjusted, totally revamped. So it's beyond imagination. All right. So then it says the article is Waters, not exactly known for her cutting-edge financial smarts, responded quickly by demanding that Facebook should halt development of its announced cryptocurrency until Congress and regulators conduct a review. Reuters reports that Waters also said Facebook executives should testify before Congress about the project, saying the company has repeatedly shown a disregard for the protection and careful use of this data. Oh, really? It goes beyond that. But anyway, then the quote says, given the company's, she's been quoted, given the company's troubled past, I'm requesting that Facebook agree to a moratorium on any movement forward on developing a cryptocurrency until Congress and regulators have the opportunity to examine these issues and take action. And then it says, Waters and McHenry were not alone as Facebook announcement was met with immediate backlash from regulators across the globe. Quote, Facebook is already too big and too powerful, and it has used that power to exploit users' data without protecting privacy. We cannot allow Facebook to run a risky new cryptocurrency out of a Swiss bank account without oversight. Unquote, said Senator Sherrod Brown, the top Democrat on the Senate Banking Committee, in a statement. And then it says, U.S. Senator Mark Warner, Virginia Democrat, who also sits on Senate Banking Committee, really it doesn't matter, Democrat, Republicans, all the same, same shit, expressed concern that through Libra, Facebook was using its scale in social networking to achieve dominance in adjacent markets like mobile payments. And then French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire called for more regulation of tech companies. This instrument for transactions will allow Facebook to collect millions and millions of data, which strengthens my conviction that there is a need to regulate the digital giants. Okay, I could go on and go on. You can read the article for yourself on zeroedge.com. And let me see. There's a couple of quotes I wanted to read to you. I like that one by Thomas Blummer. He says, "Get your popcorn ready. Libra will serve us with endless entertainment as whipping boy of regulators who now think Bitcoin is the smaller of the problems." By the way, on Peter McCormack's podcast is a really wonderful interview with Caitlin Long. She's like pushing all the crypto and Bitcoin positive regulations and laws in Wyoming. She's a really fascinating expert on this. So let me see. Yeah, there's this quote by Pete Schroeder. Waters brings down the hammer, calling on Facebook to halt development in its cryptocurrency while Congress and regulators review the matter, and for Facebook executives to testify before Congress. So we already have that, and this is like sort of the reasoning and the arguments for the halt. And given the company's troubled past, I'm requesting the Facebook agree to moratorium. Yeah, I already read that to you. Yeah, so let me see. There's a bunch of quotes I wanted to read to you, but I don't find. Hold on a second. Hold on. Yeah, Eric Verheer says, I know, it's not the cryptocurrency, some will yell. Well, yes or no, relative to PayPal or to the US dollar, Libra is very much a cryptocurrency relative to Bitcoin or Zcash or the AI. Libra is not all that crypto-y. And Libra deserves nuanced analysis, which I agree. We gotta, change the perspective. We gotta see it really. We gotta put things in perspective, because as my title of this live streaming says, is and will be and can be Facebook's Libra or global coin, whatever we call it, a facilitator. Something that is beyond Trojan horse, actually a positive facilitator for the final mass adoption, for the final global mass adoption of Bitcoin. So it says here, digital assets and blockchains have many attributes. Optimizing for certain ones can detract from others, and that's okay. Lots of blockchain projects will be created and played with while the world rebuilds a financial system upon this new technology. Different assets will serve different markets at different times in different ways. Libra will serve the mass market, that's for sure, and be the single largest bridge toward decentralized finance that has ever been built. Prior to this, the largest bridge was Coinbase, which has played an integral in crypto's rise. Now, is the way I see it, I think Libra is definitely a competition to banks, to remittance services such as, all these unbelievably, in my eyes, criminal structures such as Western Union, who are charging, poor people for just sending money to their families, exorbitant, fees. Would it be like 5, 10, 15, 20%, So all these services are going to come to an end, or they have to adapt, They're going to have to adapt, right? So the good, it says here, Eric Forrest and continues, the good, Libra is built on actual blockchain based on hot stuff, BFT. I think it's called Byzantine fault tolerance, right? Similar but not identical to and compatible with Cosmos Tendermint protocol. Most of the important components are open source and can be built on a permissionless way. Next, Libra made the great decision to not back itself solely with the US dollar. This has profound implications. Libra can arguably become medium-term replacement to any single government fiat currency. Libra is arguably superior above the US government dollar. Right? Well, because the basket is full of, foreign currencies then. To whoever bravely navigated Facebook into creating currency above the US dollar, kudos to you. That took balls and probably a lot of work. It was the right decision. Well, they got an army of lawyers. Don't forget that, with all the companies and corporations now they're working with. That'll be alone, a huge task force, okay, with their army, with their, shark armies of lawyers globally everywhere. I was worried Facebook, and it says, I was worried Facebook could just be a lame proxy for US dollar, and it is not. That's important. Okay, so it will be a bridge. It will be a Trojan horse. It will be a facilitator. Eventually, it will, grant access to billions of people. That's for sure. It will familiarize people, the poorest one, the most disenfranchised ones, the most exploited people on this world, in the third world, in the developing countries. That's for sure, in the developing countries and nations and continents. Okay. So it's not, I don't see it because we are privileged. Most of us in the Western modern democratized, whatever word we call it, have banking access. We got banking accounts. So we can transfer, we can do transactions. But this is something that will prepare, prepare the developing people, the developing nations, and it will also, I think, put put restrictions on the oppressive regimes or oppressive governments. They cannot just devalue their inflate the money and make their people poorer and poorer. So a lot of things are gonna be playing along these lines. And it says here, next Libra has a potential and current plan to grow from a little decentralized on day one to moderately decentralized within a few years of launch. The plan is clearly to gradually decentralize with time. Good plan. We'll see if they can actually do it. That's the question. Because if you read the white papers, it says, oh yeah, we are, it's still a permission sort of a permission system, but we could decide, once things whatever are set in place. Who knows? Let's give them a chance. But this is I'm not talking about, this is not about Facebook, okay? This my talk right now is not about Facebook. I'm trying to figure out whether Facebook's Libra global coin could eventually be the huge this huge facilitator for the for the mass education and fine appropriation for global mass adoption of Bitcoin. The truly open, neutral, censorship-resistant, truly decentralized, hardest money, scarcest money, unpolitical, non-political, and the rule and the real true monetary root layer of Bitcoin, for this whole planet, for this whole humanity. This is what this whole thing is about. All right. And then it says, blah, blah. Now the bad Libra is clearly not a pure cryptocurrency. It's true. And it's not even a blockchain. Because if you, let me see, if you look at that article by Jameson Lopp, a really great analysis from June 18th, Thoughts on Libra Blockchain. He says here, let me see, where can I find it? Can I find it? Over time, membership eligibility will shift to become completely open and based only on the members' holdings of Libra. Sounds an awful lot like proof of stake. Apparently, the plan is to open up membership after 5 years, and hopefully they'll have figured out proof of stake by then. I expect they'll run into the same problems here. The basis for this is this. Okay, so every node, every bigger company, the corporation who wants to join the network and who is allowed to join the network will have to pay, or is paying already, $10 million to become a node. All right, sort of as a validator. All right, so where does it say it's not actually a blockchain? Sounds like Facebook has not solved any of the massive problems that Ethereum has been working on for years. Yeah, there it is. Once again, authenticated data structures and storage. The Libra, that's a quote. Libra protocol uses a single Merkle tree to provide an authenticated data structure for the ledger history. Specifically, the ledger history uses the Merkle tree. I know it's a technical accumulator approach to form Merkle trees, which also provides efficient append operations. And then says, his comment is, once again, we see that the Libra blockchain is not actually a blockchain. It's really weird that this protocol seems to be very well designed, and yet they keep calling it a blockchain when the data structure of the ledger history is a set of signed ledger states. So it's actually nothing more than, again, a normal stupid database. Validators are making commitments for each ledger state, and all of the historical ledger states are also committed to in Merkle trees, but I have yet to actually see any backlinked list of data that form a chain, much less a chain of blocks. It's a beautiful analysis. Yeah, you can read it for yourself on medium.com/@lopp, L-O-P-P. Wonderful analysis. Let me see what else he says. Will Libra really be open to developers? According to the plan to move forward, permissionless consensus, blah, blah. He says, I'm skeptical that developers will be able to run any technically valid app they can dream of on this platform. Nothing I've read leads me to believe that this system will be resistant to censorship, but only time will tell. There's a lot of other really precious statements and analysis over here on this article. Let me see where I can find anything else. All right, you can read it for yourself. All right, so um, let me see what else is there. Anything else I can? Okay, so yeah, so Caitlin Long's Twitter thread is really good. You should really read it for yourself. She says, first analysis of Facebook's Libra. Facebook completely misunderstands money. Facebook understands payment systems, but that's not the same as money. Well, right. What we really wish, we Bitcoiners, Bitcoin maximalists, Bitcoin realists, as I call myself, is a monetary root layer. We want a store of value, medium exchange, a unit account, a monetary root layer, as I call it, on this totally on this planet. All right. Two telling quotes. Libra is backed by a reserve of real assets. Many cryptocurrencies today, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, have no underlying assets to back them. Money is a good that serves as an honest ledger. It doesn't need to have intrinsic value because it attains value by people trusting it to be an honest ledger. Money is just a bookkeeping system. Not all bookkeeping systems are money. Yet Facebook throws gobbledygook at us by asserting Libra has value because it's backed by bank deposits and short-term government securities. Well, at least it appears that Facebook doesn't have plans yet to engage in fractional reserve banking with Libra reserves assets. But again, listen to that interview with Peter McCormack. It's really good. But this point about money is critical to understand. Money is an honest ledger that individuals use to keep track of real wealth defined as productive assets. Sorry, Facebook, but real wealth does not include bank deposits and short-term government securities. That said, thank you, Facebook, for widening the conversation about what money really is. That is a true service to society. Libra is the first nationalize money. I'll always use quotations when referring to it as such that billions of people in the world will encounter. And I salute Facebook for advancing that cause because billions of people will soon become woke to the unfairness and instability of current monetary and payment systems. People are smart. They will figure out Libra is not secure and will migrate to Bitcoin and other true cryptocurrencies. But from my point, my wish, my vision, there should be only one monetary root layer, the scarcest, hardest money, totally open, neutral, censorship-resistant, immutable, unpolitical. It's it has all the features a perfect money should have and has. Bitcoin, it's divisible, it's portable, it's fungible. It's beautiful, it's everything, and it's deflationary. It's non-inflationary. All right. So finally, people, think of all, there's engineers, innovators, scientists, people in culture, in art, artists, people will have like centuries ago, have really not only hard but hardest money in the hand, which will appreciate in value over and over again, and people will have a lower time preference. That means they can put more work into the future and envision and plan and decide upon and act upon for the long-term future. So it means we all going to have like a lower time preference instead of immediately buying plastic crap or whatever have because the fiat money is losing value. We will have with hard money and hardest money like Bitcoin more and more value. And then we can, because of the lower or lowest time preference, we can invest more into the future because we will be able to store the wealth. We will be able to store value, right? That's what it is right now. Bitcoin, it's a store of value. So it's a monetary evolution. So we got to give it time, right? It's not even, 10 years have passed. And by now it has already established itself as a beautiful store of value. And then it will become, a medium of exchange, unit of account. And then all these payment network, all these people, saying, oh, I cannot pay my coffee with that. That's going to come, with the increased privacy, scalability, fungibility, Lightning Network, even independence from the internet with the G10 mesh network, satellite, Blockstream, all these companies and developers. It's beautiful what's been evolving right now at a rate of speed that is unfathomable, unimaginable. All right, this will trigger and initiate the process of civilization, as the Austrian economist Hoppe called it. This is what I called spiritual, social, economical, monetary, financial, scientific, technological, holistic evolution on this planet. This is what we've been waiting for. All right. And then she says, over time, blah, blah, at bottom, Libra is, Caitlin Long continues, Libra is a helpful detour that advances the crypto cause for the honest money, and nothing made this clearer to me than reading this. These are the very same goals as true crypto. I don't think Facebook uses the same definitions. I do, but we agree on. All right. So she wrote a beautiful article, also a wonderful article on Forbes.com. And then she says, the basics are headed in the same general direction. I salute that. Now for some details. Most of what I predicted here last week still holds. Read it for yourself on Forbes.com. Even the Facebook. And then she says, actually, let me open that up for you. On Forbes.com /site/Caitlin Long, she says the final point is the most important one. Point 6, I think it was. Let me see. Yeah, Facebook cryptocurrency will turn out in the end to be a Trojan horse that benefits Bitcoin. Here's my biggest prediction. Facebook's foray into cryptocurrency will end up benefiting Bitcoin. It will take time, but Facebook will greatly accelerate the pace of teaching people about cryptocurrencies. And when this happens, more people will turn to Bitcoin for one simple reason. Bitcoin is scarce, while Facebook's cryptocurrency is not. People will migrate over time to the most honest ledger for storing the hard-earned wealth. And that's not fiat currencies or derivatives thereof, including Facebook's cryptocurrency. This phenomenon actually happened in Venezuela, as early Bitcoiner Nick Spanos recently pointed out to me. When the Maduro regime introduced the ill-fated Petra cryptocurrency, whatever it was called, the government made a concerted effort to educate Venezuelans about cryptocurrencies, and it correlated to a spike in Bitcoin use by Venezuelans. Facebook's foray into cryptocurrency will likely end up being a beneficial detour on the path to broader Bitcoin adoption. Bring it on. Beautiful article. Should read it and listen to that podcast with or whatever. It's on YouTube too, with Peter McCormack. A beautiful analysis. Very nuanced but very exciting, very thrilling analysis by Caitlin Long. What this Facebook's Libra Global, whatever you want to call it, gonna bring for humanity. And all right, so there's a lot of other quotes over here. And then, of course, viewing Libra as a giant data honeypot for government surveillance and tax reporting purposes. Will you encrypt customer spending history so you cannot see it or report it to governments? You didn't answer that in the white paper, which makes me fear the answer, but I'm willing to keep an open mind. I'll stop here for now. But if you'd like more analysis, here are podcasts where I discuss Facebook's Libra in chronological order, tape, blah, blah. All right. So then there's another analysis, sort of a reading of by Jimmy Song, I think together with Tone Vase, where he's reading really all through this white paper of Facebook's Libra. And in the end, their conclusion is like it's ludicrous, it's ridiculous, it doesn't make any sense. It's a coin that has Libra is nothing else than a centralized database with not only single point of failure but multiple points of failures. And they're making a lot of claims and attestations and blah blah, and it's a lot of it sounds like political campaign announcements. And we're gonna do this and that in 5 years, and come and work with us, and we might even in 5 years become permissionless. So really good. Just check it out on Off Chain with Jimmy Song on it's called Libra White Paper Read Through. Yeah, back to that first article. It says here, up until now, that was a curious fact that polite society had agreed to mostly ignore, sometimes with a derisive chuckle. From now on, it is a fact of business a serious-minded executives need to master. Master it they will, and Facebook has laid out the playbook. First, decentralize as much as is necessary, but no more. Secondly, provide a token of stable value so that it can be used reliably in commerce. Third, leverage your existing ecosystem to gain users. Now, do these things, and you a whole world of profiting from, I think he means, and you own or something, a whole world of profiting from seigniorage opens before you. Rent seeking, right? Build loyalty that goes beyond just brand and product to the very means of paying for those products. Collect data previously unheard of and attribute purchasing behavior to marketing in ways never before possible. Tax every transaction or the interest earned on funds held or reserves, and if you play your cards right, maybe even create money out of thin air. The big leagues attract the big players. Banks, technology companies, giant retailers, telcos now have no choice but to enter this game. Right? The world will not sit idly by and let Facebook own this new phenomenal market opportunity. 1,000 stable coins are coming. Starbucks will let you buy your venti with Starbucks. Verizon and AT&T will issue money as mobile and smart as a device already in your pocket. Jewel will give you discounts if you pay in gems. The city of Venice will make tourists pay for the burden they have become in what else ducats. Sure, many of these products will have the same fate as pets.com. Most products fail. So what? Money is a product now, and if there's one thing every business wants to do, it's to make money. But in the end, it's about what do we really want? What do we humans, we people, what do we humanity really wish for? It's real freedom. Okay, it's total decentralization. What we really wish for is hardest money, scarcest money, truly open, neutral, censorship-resistant, totally decentralized. We want an immutable ledger. We want something that that serves as a store of value that that appreciates in value, that you can create structures, new transformational structures with it be, in economics, in entrepreneurship, in science, in technology, in social structures, in communication, in education. This is what we want. So the first layer, you cannot build a house before building a truly healthy, stable, balanced foundation. Okay, you cannot build a house on a toxic, radioactive, unstable foundation. And you cannot build like windows and roof while you're still, building the foundation. So this is what we're doing. This is my part, my contribution. One of many, Bitcoin maximalists, Bitcoin realists, whatever you want to call it. But it's about education. It's about empowerment. It's about understanding, comprehending the very basic principles of what is Bitcoin. Okay, what is Bitcoin? What was, the very essence, the very seed of Satoshi Nakamoto's vision. All right, is to have a really absolutely scarce money with 21 million Bitcoins. That's it. All right. And then a totally, set in stone, all the core features, all right? Immutability, total decentralization, a total beautiful balanced network consensus of users, nodes, a network, everybody can play a part in this, and nobody is interested in having the whole structure, the network, the value of Bitcoin depreciate. Okay, this is why it's such a beautiful balanced equilibrium. All right, of all the actors, of all the players in it. All right, let me see if I have any other. While Facebook's Libra doesn't compete against any open, public, permissionless, borderless, neutral, censorship-resistant blockchains, it will compete against both retail banks and central banks. This is going to be fun to watch, says Andreas Antonopoulos. If you want to ask me questions about this, blah, blah. And then Giacomo Succo, which I'm going to have an interview with in several weeks, says, meh, if it will really compete with central banks, it will be shut down eventually. It will not be shut down. Then the assumption that central banks are a political cartel is wrong. Bitcoin is not needed, and we can use some efficient e-gold instead. Of course, he's saying it sort of with a sarcasm. More people are going to start choosing what kind of money they prefer. They will lead a lot of them to ask what makes sound money, says Bruce Fenton. So all these quotes are really interesting. Jameson Lobb says, once again, we see that the Libra blockchain is not actually a blockchain. It's really weird that this protocol seems to be very well designed, and yet they keep calling it a blockchain when the data structure of the ledger history is a set of signed ledger states. I think I read that to you already. Matt Odell, which I think we're going to have a chat with together with Alex and Gigi on Saturday. Facebook, Telegram, Google, Apple, PayPal, Samsung, WeChat, Visa, Swift, Ripple, etc. None of them can compete with Bitcoin. Why? They all have to comply with regulations and therefore cannot offer censorship-resistant or immutability. There you go, on the point, spot on. Matt Odell says, that's what he said. So sort of, and then he already said that governments will move to regulate any altcoin they can, and they will get better at it over time. Target the developers, founders, major stakeholders. Shortcuts, naive assumptions, and general disregard for censorship resistance will make many altcoins tokens extremely easy targets. Full KYC, know your customer, will be required to all chains they can successfully regulate. That means those altcoins are going to not only be competing with each other, but also all the major players currently in centralized payment services: Venmo, PayPal, Square, Apple, Amazon, Google, etc. The competition will be brutal. They all have already free instant transactions on their respective platforms. All they have to do is to add Bitcoin deposit withdraw, and they are instantly competing with every centralized altcoin. And then it continues, you may make a lot of dollars trading some of them short term, but long term they will most likely be horrible investments. True. Investors are not valuing security and censorship resistance enough at this point. There needs to be a major chain failures before they do. And then finally it says, keep in mind, this is not me dismissing every altcoin token as centralized. Some show a lot of promise, but most don't. Even Bitcoin is too centralized in my opinion, but it is by far the most censorship resistant chain, and I think will continue to be. All right, these are all the opinions, you should just digest for yourself. So just dig in, listen to the interview, by the way, which I did with Dan Held. Beautiful interview on youtube.com, or on my podcast, anchor.fm/Keyvan Davani, and on many other podcast platforms. A wonderful analysis by Dan Held, about mass adoption, about understanding the true nature, essence of Bitcoin, store of value, the halvening, the future of Bitcoin. So I'm finished with my live streaming now. I hope you liked it. Please like my video, share it, subscribe, push that, activate the bell button so you can always be activated once I bring up news updates for you. I'm gonna bring more content, more interviews with real wonderful experts, prolific Bitcoin experts, Bitcoin maximalists, Bitcoin realists, and a broad and other range, spectrum of topics which we're going to cover on my YouTube channel. But anything else that everything that has to do with Bitcoin and Austrian economics is only on my podcast, anchor.fm/Keyvan Davani. All right, so please support me if you can. Follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Telegram, and and accumulate, stack up those sats, all right? Accumulate Satoshis as much as you can, whatever we call it. I still don't understand what it means. It's dollar cost averaging, because I thought if you take a specific time frame and you take like sort of the lowest price within that time frame, which would be a day, a week, a month, but actually what people actually mean, this is what surprised me, is that they mean like on a regular basis, like on a regular day, like on a regular basis, like on every Monday or every week, you just buy 10, 50, a small amount of Satoshis, of Bitcoin, all right? So don't forget, 1 Bitcoin equals 100 million Satoshis. Just imagine what 1 Satoshis could be worth like in 1 year, 5 years, or 10 years, all right? Do it for yourself. Do yourself a favor. Do your beloved ones, your family, your neighbors, your friends. Share this knowledge, share this video, share the education, share the knowledge, share the wisdom, the essence of Bitcoin. This is true monetary revolution. No, it's actually evolution. It's monetary evolution with this monetary root layer of Bitcoin. All right, this is about it. My name is Keyvan Davani, the Total Connector, and I'll see you soon again. Bye-bye. And was fun talking to you. And if you have any questions or feedback, please leave me some. Keyvan Davani, Total Connector, says bye. Have a beautiful day. Bye.
Welcome to the podcast show by Keyvan Davani, the Total Connector, Total Bitcoin, Austrian economics, the hardest and scarcest money ever created in human history, Bitcoin.